everybody, welcome back to my kitchen. Today I'm going to take a little break from the Christmas candies and cookies, and I'm going to show you how I make my homemade pasta. Once you do make your own spaghetti, pasta, ravioli, anything like that, you are not going to want to go back to the store-bought brand. It's got such good flavor. You can add herbs into it if you'd like. You can add different flavorings, garlic powder. You can just leave it plain like I'm going to do today. This is just my basic pasta recipe. And I've got my dough hook already on my KitchenAid with 2 cups of all-purpose flour already in the bowl. And I'm going to add to it 2 eggs and a good pinch of salt and about 1.5 teaspoons of water and maybe about 1 teaspoon of vegetable oil. We may add a little bit more water or vegetable oil once this is all mixed and comes together. That way we can see the consistency. But we're just going to turn this on. We're going to let it knead. It's going to go for about 8 to 10 minutes till it all comes together. Okay, now the dough has formed into a ball, flopping around in the bowl as you can see from above. And that's when we know everything's come together. It's been about 8 minutes, 9 minutes. And I'm just going to let it go just a few more seconds here. It's got everything off the side. The bowl is clean. It's picked up all the flour in the dough. Now I'm going to take this off the hook and put a little bit of flour down on the board. I'm going to move this out of the way. Maybe I should move this before I got flour in my hands. Because we're done with the KitchenAid for a few minutes here. Now, this should feel kind of like your kids' Play-Doh. Little thick, little ungiving. And I just like to knead it around a little bit. Fold it over itself 3 or 4 times. Okay. And then as you turn it, you're making a dough ball. You'll see it start stretching along the top. Now, once we get this all into a nice ball, I'm going to push down, just make a nice disc. We're going to wrap this in plastic wrap, saran wrap, whatever you want to call it. And we're going to put it in the refrigerator for an hour. We want it to sit, let those glutens all work and become nice and together. So I'm going to stick this in the fridge and I'll see you in about an hour. Okay, so it's been about an hour. I got my dough ball out of the fridge. I've rearranged everything. Got my KitchenAid set up. We're going to be using it. You can cut the pieces of dough and roll them out by hand if you have an old Italian grandma or mama. She probably did that. I'm cheating. I'm using my KitchenAid. So I bought these attachments probably about 15 years ago. To use these, you're just going to take the front part off here. A lot of you may not know that that comes off. This is where you add all your attachments and it just holds in by this little pin screw. Once you get that out, set it aside. Make sure the pin screws all the way through. And I have 3 different attachments here. This one's to roll out the dough. And I got it set on number 1 already. This one is to make linguine. And this one is to make spaghetti. As you can see on here, it says do not immerse in water. You do not put these in the dishwasher. You do not wash these. All you do is brush them off with a little brush, clean them out, and put them up. If you put water on these, they're going to rust and the dough's going to get stuck in there and get clotted, so you don't want to do that. Now, I'm not going to use the spaghetti one today, so I'm going to set it aside. I'm going to go ahead and put this in. I also use this a lot of times when I'm making homemade sausage. I have a sausage grinder, meat grinder for this. And got it in lock, and it's rolling. So once you put this in, the system's actually just going to roll it. You got 2 rolling pins right there, and it's going to roll the dough through. I'm not going to use this one right now, so I'm going to set it back here. I'm going to put a little flour on my board here. Get it all nice and ready. Now we're going to just work with a piece of dough at a time. It's nice and cold. So I'll take my bench scraper, and you're not going to cut off as much as you think. It's just going to be a small amount. And then wrap this up so it doesn't dry out and set it aside. So now I just like to get a little flour on it. I'm going to turn this on low, put a little flour on this. And you're going to run it through number 1 a couple times. And they teach you when you do this, kind of make it into a book. So we're going to roll it on itself, roll it on itself again. And this is just going to help tighten it up and get the glutens working to hold it nice and firm. And I do this maybe 2 or 3 times. I switch around sideways. And it's going to just make the dough nice and smooth. And you can tell when you need a little bit more flour, just put some on there. And now that I got it there, I'm going to crank it up a little bit. Now you can leave it on low. I've done this enough that I get good at doing it a higher speed. Okay, so now one more time at number 1. And my dough I usually take up, there's 4 marks on here. I usually take it to, or there's 8 marks on here. I usually take it up to number 4 for my dough. And on these I do fold it over 2 or 3 times, thinning it out. And now I'm going to make it up to 3. Actually, I'm going to put a little more flour on there because it feels a little wet. And there's 3. And up to 4. And this is the thickness I like my linguine. You can make it as thin as you like. I like it about this thickness. So now we have 1 big sheet of pasta. You could also use this for lasagna. Instead of cutting it, I've got a tea towel laid out here, one of my Christmas ones. Just going to fold that over. That keeps it from drying out too much. And I'm just going to go through here and finish up the rest of this pasta. And I'll be back with you. Okay, so this is the last one. I'm on 4. I went through twice. This is the last piece. It was a smaller piece. So we're all done actually making the pasta sheets. Next, we're going to turn them into linguine. So we're going to take this one off. We're done with this. I'll get my brush out here in a minute and I'll clean it all off. Let me set it over here out of the way. So now comes the fun part. Where'd I put it? It's right there. This is to make the linguine. Now you're only going to pass it through once because it's going to cut it. And then you're going to dust it with a little flour so it doesn't stick together. Make a little bird's nest, set it aside, and just let it dry. So let me grab a little pan to put these on. Use this so the flour doesn't get out everywhere. And I'm going to just set it back here out of the way for now. So I like to dust mine first. That way it's ready to go. There's only one setting on this. Just going to put it in at the top, feed it through, and you have linguine noodles. Grab it about halfway through. Dust it on the board, and you'll just make a little bird's nest here and set it aside to dry. That's going to be harder the longer your pasta is. And you don't want it to fold up on itself like it just did there. Flatten it out. And bring that through. And you see, Nice linguine, grab it about halfway through. And you're gonna have some little pieces that fall off from the sides. No problem. Just dust that a little bit. Make a little bird's nest. Sometimes I like to sprinkle a little bit more on it just to keep it from sticking together. Grab something. Okay, now when you get a little crazy here, make a long one. I cut off too much dough. It's a little harder because it will stretch, so you got to hold on to it so it doesn't stretch out on you. You could also cut this in half. That would have been just fine. I'm just going to grab it here, dust it with a little flour. And there we go. The only reason I'm redusting it is because you just don't want these to stick together and have one big glob of pasta when it cooks. Grab it about halfway down, let the last feed through. Sweep it through the flour. A little bird's nest there. As you can see, making homemade pasta, if you have this attachment, is so easy. If you don't have it, you can roll it out like I said. You can use a pizza cutter. There are cutters that you can put and it'll measure distances like 7 blades or 8 blades, and you just slice right through it. But as much pasta as we eat, I thought this would be good to get. And I have got my money's worth. And we do not like store-bought boxed pasta now. Last one, yes it is. Now if you have extra, just let it dry out that you don't use. Dry it out, put it in a freezer bag, stick it in the freezer, and it's good for months. Because all you got here is flour, water, and egg. Little vegetable oil. Okay, dust this last bit. Turn this over. There we go. And there we have 6 little bird nests of linguine pasta, homemade. This is fresh. It is going to be so delicious. Remember, when you cook it, it's only going to take about 3 minutes to cook in the boiling water. You're not going to cook it 6 to 12 to 10, whatever minutes it says on those boxes. This cooks really fast. So I'm going to throw together some of my homemade pasta sauce and we'll cook this up in a little bit. Okay, so I got my pasta water coming to a full boil here. I'm going to start putting the bird's nest in of pasta. When you do it, remember this is fresh homemade, so you don't want to be real rough with it. Be gentle, move it around in there, and just spread it out. Don't just dump them all right in the middle. You want the water to move around a little bit so it starts cooking on the outside so they don't clump together. Like I said, it's going to take only about 3 minutes to cook this pasta. We're going to eat a lot of pasta tonight, so I'm going to make all of these. Whoops. Here we go. Spread that out. Let me get this out of the way. And I just put some pasta sauce together back here. I use my jarred pasta that I canned with some turkey, onions, oregano, and some garlic. And just put that, so I top it with this. We're going to let that come back up to a boil and cook. This is all done. Let me taste it, make sure I don't need any salt, pepper, or anything. That's good. I'll put a link down below to my spaghetti sauce. Like I said, I just did some ground turkey, onion, oregano, and garlic. Stirred that and then poured in my sauce on top of it and brought it together. Now you can see some of the pastas are going to start floating to the top as it cooks. I just stir it around gently. And you may ask why I didn't use semolina pasta or semolina flour. You can. It just gives it a more firm texture. I like tender pasta. Sometimes I do the semolina, but the all-purpose works fine. That's what most people have. So that's what I've always done. Now, once your pasta cooks, everybody's different. Some people like to just dump this in a strainer in the sink, which is a bad idea. You want to save that pasta water. So when you mix it, if your pasta sauce isn't thick enough, you put a little bit of that pasta water, the starchy pasta water, because all that flour that was on this pasta and what's on the store-bought will give a lot of starch in here, help thicken up your sauce if it's too runny. So what I do is I either have a larger pan with my pasta sauce and I use my spider or my tongs, dip it out, put it in the pasta sauce, and then mix it. I don't like serving it, just the pasta itself and then the sauce on the side. If you do, the pasta is going to start getting cold. It's going to start sticking together. Some people will put butter or olive oil on it and toss it. When you do that, your pasta sauce isn't going to stick to your noodles. It's just going to slide right off. So I don't do that either. Let me get this. Just a couple minutes, let me find a little piece. That's not little. And taste this. Ooh, a little long. All right. Need just a little bit longer. Hold on. All right. Whoa! Careful there, Greg. And as it floats to the top, usually means it's done. Just taste it, see if it's the right texture for you. Some people like it more al dente, some people like it a little soft, less firm to the bite. Get one out of here. Okay, that's perfect for me. So now I'm going to turn that off. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put a little sauce down in the bowl. At the bottom. And get as much water off of the pasta as you can. You don't want real watery pasta sauce. I'm excited. I love fresh pasta. Spider doesn't work as well when you got all this long pasta. I should have cut it, but I didn't. Okay, spread that out a little bit. I think I get the rest of this in my spider. Got one trying to sneak away there. All right. Let's set this aside. Now, like I said, I don't put butter, olive oil, because it won't stick. The pasta sauce won't. I like to spread it out. Put a little bit of grated Parmesan cheese on here. That's going to help the sauce stick to it. And then just cover it and coat it. You don't have to put all the sauce on at once. Some people may not like as much sauce, so I just put enough on to coat the pasta. And bring it all together. That way the sauce is on all of it and you don't have it clumping together. There we go. And clean up the bowl a little bit. Put a couple more spoonfuls right on top. go. Just gonna throw in some parsley, make it look good. Some more cheese. Didn't do a very good job of cleaning that bowl up, did I? All right. So there is my homemade pasta, linguine pasta with my homemade tomato sauce. Give it a try. It's a lot easier than you think. If you don't have those attachments, you can roll it out and slice it either with a knife or a pizza cutter. But you're going to be amazed at the flavor difference, the taste. You're not going to want to go back to the box. So enjoy your holiday season. I'll talk to you again soon. Merry Christmas. Love you all, and don't forget to give us a thumbs up. Have a good day. Bye-bye.